We now move on to our panel discussion with Zandile Khumalo as well as Lance Quiding. Now, Zandile is a hydroponics farmer based here in Sandton, and Lance Quiding is focused on aquaculture, integrated aquaculture. Please welcome Zandile and Lance Quiding. I think, Zandile, I'll start with you. You know, we've followed your journey into the agricultural sector from the get-go, you know, the farms that you've been operating and been involved in. For those that don't know, what is it that you do? And yeah, tell us a bit about your business.
Thank you, Duncan. Hi, I'm Zandile Khumalo, the CEO and co-founder of a company called Neighbour Roots. Neighbour Roots is a fresh food company, farming with the future in mind. We farm in greenhouses. We farm using different types of hydroponic systems. And one of the farms that we have is on the rooftop of Morningside Shopping Center, just down Rivonia Road. Our aim as Neighbour Roots is to pave our way through building and operating operating smart hydroponic tunnels or greenhouses commercially on a scale on these unutilized rooftop spaces across our country. So our approach into this is to reduce the issues that we face as a country or in our agricultural space, like climate change, food waste, and also carbon emissions. And we do this through our model where we farm on these rooftops and we supply directly into the shopping center. So basically our market is directly underneath us. So we are able to supply urban dwellers. We are able to also supply fine dining restaurants, and we are also able to supply the retail stores that we have into the shopping center through our fresh high quality produce, to demonstrate the role or the important role of urban farming within the food system that we have in our country. So with that, we are committed to be able to waiver these type of farming principles through our private sectors and also the government, so that we can bring a positive change within our world. So that's basically what Neighbour Roots does.
I think it's quite impressive. You know, a few years ago, we were so worried about, you know, where would I farm? Where can I find land to start my farming operation? And here you have a farmer that literally started on a rooftop. It's insane. It's an amazing. And yeah, we enjoy seeing your journey. Lawrence, you have a mic over there. Tell us a bit about Integrated Aquaculture. That's the name of the company. What is it that you guys do? How does it work? And yeah, let's take it from there.
Yeah, thanks, Duncan. We have a aquaponics farm in Hekwood in Magaliesburg, and aquaponics is essentially fish farming on one side. We farm fish in a system. We produce at the moment about 800 kilograms a month, and we're building up to 3 tons per month. And on the other side, we've got vegetables, and the vegetables we're currently doing about 4 tons a month, and that is also growing. So it is a decoupled system where we've got 3 businesses really. We've got a business that does fish, business that does vegetables, and in the middle is a piece that does mineralization. So we produce all our own fertigation for our vegetables from our fish waste.
Now, in terms of benefits, you know, maybe position this in terms of how farmers benefit in terms of production, profitability, and what is that exactly?
Sure. We're talking about future farming, really. You know, a lot of words today were spoken about partnerships. And I don't know, we actually centered around the SDGs, and the SDG number 17 is partnerships. And in fact, we've got a partnership with this lady right next door to us. So yeah, it is important to understand that we're doing something new. It is the vision into the future. It is the future of farming. We can do it on rooftops. We can do it on anywhere. We don't need arable land, or we don't need fertile land. So, you know, our business at the moment is right on the edge of profitability. It's taken us about 8 years to get to this point. So yeah, in pioneering, it's quite intense, but it's been fun. And I think the future of farming that looks at the SDGs and looks at farming anywhere, including rooftops, is extremely attractive. And I think as more and more people start doing it, I know we've got some folk in the crowd in Dahlstrom who run an aquaponics farm. We've got UJ here with the CEI, which is a new department that they've just started, which is quite exciting. It's the Center for Ecological Intelligence, which is including a lot of this futuristic stuff. So I think a huge amount of excitement in the space at the moment.
I'm sure the many of the farmers sitting here, they hear the systems that you guys use 3-in-1 in terms of startup costs. We'll get to that a bit later. What exactly goes into starting a system like that? But maybe you, Zandile, a lot of the farmers these days, when they I guess take interest in agriculture, hydroponics is something that features quite high up on their list. Talk to us in terms of the benefits of hydroponics farming over traditional farming methods.
Duncan, that's a good question to ask, and thank you very much. There's so many ways to answer your question, but I will take the most core issue that we face in agriculture, which is climate change. Before I started hydroponics, I started as a conventional farmer, and we get to face issues that are unpredictable, especially when you're in conventional farming. And when floods come, you would have a wipeout of all your production. And when it comes now to hydroponics, the advantage is that we farm in these greenhouses and we don't use any soil at all. So when floods come, we're still farming. And when too much heat comes, you have controlled environment. Some farms do have that. You are still farming. So your yielding per square meter in your greenhouse is quite high as a turnout compared to open field farming. That's basically one of the advantages, because it's what investors would look for when it comes to how much are you getting out of your farm as a revenue. So that's one of the biggest advantages when you come now to investors, that you are able to show a much more better revenue or yielding perspective in that. Yeah.
Maybe talk to us about the benefits that you've seen on your farming production, specifically, farming in a concrete jungle in Sandton. What has been the benefits for you?
With me, with the model that we have, like I said, we're farming on the rooftop. So supplying directly to the market, to the shopping center gives us a better market. That's the biggest thing that most farmers face and complain about, that we do not have market. We do not know where to take our produce. So because our market is directly downstairs, we just walk with our crate and we're supplying there. So that's like a tick box with the type of model that we're doing. So that's the biggest benefit for me to be farming on rooftops.
Definitely saving there a lot of money on transportation costs. I can imagine. That's amazing. Lance, over to you. We talked about the systems that you guys use 3-in-1. Tell us a bit about the startup cost. What goes into starting a system like you guys have at Integrated Aquaculture?
So I guess this is where in our journey as a country, we're looking hard towards closing the gap between education and know-how. And there's been a lot of speak about that today as well. We come out with our BSCs, but we have absolutely no know-how. And the only way you get know-how, and you've listened to all the folks talk today, is getting your hands dirty. So I wanted to put up a few slides, but because it's a discussion, we haven't got the time. But I started with a filing cabinet on my desk at home. And yes, my walk has been, sort of a 10-year period. And I think what we've got to understand is, the minister spoke of slow capital. Dr. Malan talked about don't rush into high tech. You talk about, Maud spoke about compliance. Paul spoke about purpose. Suleiman spoke about funding and soft money. Eric and Tabo spoke about mentorship. Gabby spoke about knowledge. Leona spoke about funding, market, skills, engagement, empowerment, and endurance. So I think what we've got to realize is if you want to get into the smart farming, it does start today. It actually starts with the kids, and as simple as a little filing cabinet on the shelf. To date, we've spent in excess of 20 million rand just setting up our farm, and that's money that we've had to beg, borrow, and steal. And only now have we got to a point where we've managed to woo some international investment. So, it's been a massive long walk, and I'm telling you, it is hard, and it brings tears to your eyes, and it's family involvement, and it's all of the above. But that, I'm afraid, people, is farming. Well, actually, I'm excited. That is farming.
Yeah. I love that. Where do you place aquaculture, specifically integrated aquaculture, in the future in terms of meeting this growing population and the demands of this growing population? I mean, by 2035, we expected to reach a population of 67.3 million people. Sorry. Where do you place integrated aquaculture in that?
So, it's more the concept of aquaponics than specifically my business. Aquaponics, absolutely, you cannot produce protein in a more intensive fashion or in a more intensive way. We're going to be producing 3 tons of meat in less than 1,000 square meters. So when you talk about that, and you talk about all the SDGs, I mean, this is probably one of the very few businesses that can comply with all 17 of the SDGs. I mean, that's unheard of. So yes, it's got a massive place in the future, and I think the more people that get into it with that realistic view and that realistic understanding of what's involved to get into it, it's going to be hugely beneficial to our country and to the world.
Maybe just shortly as well, where do you see the industry in the next 5 to 10 years? 5 is maybe pushing it, but where do you see the industry?
So we've spoken a lot today about skill. It's going to be all about skill. It is not a quick game. It is not a quick win. It is a slow process. So, we need to start with closing that gap. So what we want to do on our farm is turn it unashamedly into a facility whereby we're actually going to ask it to do a lot. We're going to ask it to do 3 things. We're going to ask it to make money. We're going to ask it to be an R&D center, and we're going to ask it to upskill and train people. And that is a huge ask of one particular property. But that's where we have to start. If you don't get your hands wet and you can't do the practical side of it, where do you go to get that? So that is a void in our country at the moment, and that's where we want to try start filling. And with small projects like the rooftops, we can do smaller systems that aren't necessarily cash positive, but they are certainly training positive. And those are the things that we need to look at and focus on. But yes,
definitely. Zandile, over to you. Same question. Where do you place hydroponics farming, in terms of meeting that growing population demand? What's your thoughts on that?
When it comes to placing and looking at the growth of our country in terms of population, honestly, urbanization is growing, and it's growing very quickly because people are moving into the urban spaces. So I see ourselves as hydroponics being able to say, let's give diverse food systems that will work towards feeding the nation. Basically, systems that are resilient, robust, and are able to work to bring better food with quality to the people where they are. That's where I see hydroponics and our food system moving. Diverse, especially if we as young farmers are able to get mentorship from Lance, people like Lance, people who have been there, people who have seen the road before us. It helps us also to learn much more better. So with all that, it's that we need much more investment within the hydro space to be able to expand on these rooftops, because honestly, rooftops are not utilized by these property owners. So in our company, we are looking to be able to partner with property owners. We are able to seek people who are able to fund us to get these rooftops running, to get food closer to the market, especially that we farm with leafy greens, and we can have big farms that could be able to bring potatoes and vegetables and those type of system working together to form a good ecosystem to the food system.
Thank you so much, Zandile Khumalo, rooftop farmer in Sandton, of course, Lance Quiding, who is one of the founding members of Integrated Aquaculture. Thank you so much.